Hi, everybody, and happy Labor Day. That's right, we're at the end of summer. It's a beautiful day here in lovely Connecticut in the USA, and I have quite an episode for you. I never am quite sure how it's going to come out, but I hope you're going to like it. By the way, welcome to the class of 74. When we last saw Cynthia, she was hearing not good news from Evan Whitaker about his family. So we're going back to the Schuyler's kitchen to find out what it was that happened in terms of the Wicked Witch in Chicago. Okay, have fun. I did. See ya at the end. Episode 16. Friends are good. Right? We have to sell the boat and the house, Evan said. The Wicked Witch has won. Oh, no. What did she win? A ton of money, he said. And you have to sell your house? She heard someone moving behind her. Her mother had come in. Cynthia turned away so she could focus on what Evan was telling her. More than anything, Dad wants that divorce so he can marry Mom, which I guess means I won't be a bastard anymore. You never were, she said softly, turning to look at her mother. Why do you have to sell your house? Her mother's eyebrows shot up. She mouthed, Who is it? She mouthed back, Evan. Her mother blinked a couple of times and reached for her cigarettes on the counter. She put one in her mouth, and her hand must have been wet or something because she had trouble getting a match lit. Drawing heavily on the cigarette, she looked out to the terrace where Phil was still waiting. Evan was explaining they had to sell everything to raise the money for a one-time lump sum settlement to the Wicked Witch to get rid of her once and for all. Her mother went outside to the terrace, exchanged a few words with Phil, and came back to the door. I'm going to show Phil the shortcut, she said. Finish your conversation. Cynthia, are you still there? I'm here. You were saying a one-time lump sum settlement. It's a lot of money, he said, but worth it to my parents to get us behind us. Oh, wait, there's not going to be anything in the papers about my parents. She was flooded with relief. Thank you, God, she thought. Nobody's going to say anything about anything, Cynthia. That's wonderful, Evan. How did that happen? It's not because the Wicked Witch decided to be nice or anything. My parents' lawyer, this guy Felder, he convinced a judge in Chicago to slap an emergency restraining order on the Wicked Witch, forbidding her to, quote, defame the child. That's me. I'm the underage child. She's not allowed to publicly humiliate me, which means she can't attack my parents in a public manner either. At least not until I'm 18. The restraining order is why she came to the bargaining table, to see how much she could get if she agreed to the divorce and not publish anything bad about Mom and Dad. Hooray, Cynthia cheered, shooting an arm up in the air. But my parents' legal bills are almost as much as her settlement, he said. So we have to sell the boat and the house to get it done. Where are you guys going to live? My parents said we'll rent a house for a couple years. Mom says we should be able to find something in Brighton. And then when we know where I'm going to go to college and how much it's going to cost, my parents will figure out what they want to do, where they want to live, and take it from there. Why was Dr. Reynolds in the meeting? Because the Wicked Witch was after a percentage of the practice, which she didn't get, so he's relieved. I bet. And it was good he was there, Cynthia, because when my dad started talking about selling the house to get this behind us, he got all choked up. You know, my dad, he never cries. And Dr. Reynolds gave us all a big pep talk. He's such a good guy. I got that vibe, she said. I just wish we didn't have to sell the boat. As soon as I get cleared by the dock, I'm going out in it every day while we still have it. And you'll come with me, right? Yes, but I'm not water skiing. I'll drive, you ski. I met a guy last week, Evan, who said he had seen me water ski and agreed that I was terrible. Evan laughed. Who was this? I never got his name. He was in Dee Dee's car. I like Dee Dee, he said. I like her laugh. Cynthia saw her mother coming up from the backyard and told Evan she had to get off. She congratulated him again on having a future. Phil's a nice boy, her mother said as she came in. Yeah, he is. Wish there was a way we could get him in to see Dr. Potter. Dr. Potter was the dermatologist everyone in Brighton swore by. Mom, that's way too personal. His skin condition doesn't look like normal acne to me, she said. Dr. Potter would know immediately what's going on. You're always telling me we need to mind our own business. Not necessarily when it concerns a child, sweetie. She was touching her own face, looking out the window, thinking. Annalise is teaching Ashette to jump through a hula hoop, her father announced, carrying in empty glasses from the den. We're going to have one more Bloody Mary, Liz, he said, walking over to the liquor cabinet. Do you want one? Yes, please. Is the match over? Yes, Stan Smith won. Grateful for the chance to avoid questions about Evan, Cynthia went into the den where Mrs. Fitzgerald was sitting on the floor with her shoes off, trying to entice Ashette with a Triscuit to jump over her shin. Her coral-colored manicure and pedicure matched her lipstick exactly. She was wearing a loose, pale purple knit blouse and a dark purple skirt. Greg's got rougher jumping through a hula hoop like a circus dog, she told Cynthia. I thought Ashette could start with a smaller jump, but she doesn't seem very interested. How many drinks had Mrs. Fitzgerald had anyway? Ruffer was the Fitzgerald's black Labrador retriever, about 4 times the size of Ashette. After all the crackers you've given her, Annalise, Mr. Fitzgerald said, turning a page of the New York Times, she probably can't get off the ground. Don't be unkind, Mrs. Fitzgerald said, taking the words right out of Cynthia's mouth. Don't tell your mother I gave her biscuits, okay? Come on, girl, Cynthia said, sinking to her knees on the carpet. Make Mr. Fitzgerald eat his words. She patted the carpet next to Mrs. Fitzgerald's shin, encouragingly. Ashette moved into position, and Mrs. Fitzgerald tucked her other leg beneath her to give Ashette more jumping room. Cynthia had to bite down to keep from laughing. Did she think Ashette was going to sail through the air? Okay, girl, on the count of 3, you're going to jump over here. She patted the carpet on the other side of Mrs. Fitzgerald's leg, the side closest to her. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Come on, girl. Come on. Jump. Jump. Excited by Cynthia's tone, Ashette jumped her front legs over Mrs. Fitzgerald's shin, but her hind feet just walked up and over her leg. This gave the Fitzgeralds a good laugh. Good girl, Ashette, Cynthia said, hugging the dog and kissing the top of her head. Then Cynthia excused herself, explaining she had homework to do, and said it was nice to see the Fitzgeralds. Upstairs in her room, she found Mimi lying across her bed, listening to the Imagine album. She was sketching something on an art pad. Hi, she said. Hi. What are you drawing? Mother as the Jode of art. I'm burning her at the stake. When Cynthia did a double take, Mimi laughed. I'm kidding. She held up the sketch. There were only a preliminary few lines of a figure reaching up toward something, but Cynthia could recognize the long figure of Mrs. Watson and her very erect posture. Mimi had always been good at art. Cynthia was hopeless. It's going to be a painting of Mother hanging this very portrait on the wall, pulling the sketchbook back down into her lap. I want to see what she does with it. If it rates at least the pool house, or does it go into the garage with the rest? Maybe you should give it to your father. Oh, that's an idea. He'd hang it in the apartment or at his office. Cynthia sat down at her desk, arranging her books and notebook. She needed to figure out how she was going to handle skipping economics on Friday. She had it first thing tomorrow. Saying she hadn't felt well was the obvious excuse, but she didn't know if she could get away with it without a note from her mother. Her chances would be better if Mr. Bojanski knew she had made the effort to get the homework assignment. She went into her parents' room and opened the phone book. That junior, Charlie Hennessy, was the only kid she knew in her economics class. She found Hennessy, Bertram, 52 Wild Rose Lane. Bertram? What kind of name was that? She dialed the number and a woman answered. Hi, is Charlie there? It's Cynthia Schuyler from his economics class calling. Hello, Cynthia, the lady said. I don't suppose you remember me. Cynthia smiled. I didn't realize you were that Mrs. Hennessy, Mrs. Hennessy. You were my Sunday school teacher. Yes, I was, a very long time ago. It's hard to believe all of you are teenagers now. But you want to talk to Charles? Let me see if he's still in the garage. He was out there working on a tiller or something. Hold on. It had been a long time ago, back when they only had to color pictures while being told a Bible story. Cynthia remembered Mrs. Hennessy making her color over the green hair she had given Jesus with a brown crayon. Mr. Bojanski kept asking everybody where you were on Friday, Charlie said. Oh, I went home because I didn't feel well. Mr. Bojanski brought in a Time magazine for you. It had a bunch of stuff about those price controls you were asking about the other day. He did? That was very nice. And then he spent most of the class talking about price controls. How did you know so much about them? I don't know anything about them. I've just been listening to my father complain he can't find anyone who can answer his questions about them. What kind of questions? About how these regulations are being applied to foreign goods manufactured by a subsidiary of an American company. He says they keep changing everything, and it's driving him nuts. He's going to Washington this week about it. Is your father a lobbyist? What's that? It's someone who tries to change the mind of politicians about things, takes them out to dinner, gets them drunk, all that kind of stuff. Football games. No, I don't think so. He travels a lot. Not so much to Washington. He goes to Europe, Turkey, Central America, a lot of places. Charlie laughed. You know, he might be in the CIA. What? A lot of these guys who travel around the world are reporting intelligence back to the Central Intelligence Agency. He was in the Army, right, your dad? Yeah, he was, but I don't think he's in the CIA. On the other hand, his company, American Ideal, they just installed a new alarm system in our house in case someone tries to kidnap him. You're kidding. No, but we don't use it because the dog sets it off. Look, Charlie, I could talk to you all day, but I called to find out what the homework assignment was for economics. He didn't give us any homework. Really? Really? Oh, that's great. Well, I've got you. There was something I wanted to ask you. I saw you the other day with that new girl from California. Katey Langston? Yeah. You know her, right? Cynthia visualized Katey falling out the back of the van at the drive-in. I've gotten to know her a little. Do you know if she sails? She lives right next to the yacht club. I know her father and brother do, so she probably knows how. But Charlie, I really don't know. You'd have to ask her. Would you introduce me? Katey might have some problems, but attracting boys wasn't one of them. Sure. She and I have geometry together right after economics. And it's in Sea Wing, so tomorrow you can just walk over with me. Oh, wait. She remembered about Robbie McLaren and didn't want to do this in front of him. Tomorrow, I'll show you where my locker is. It's in Sea Wing. And after class, just go hang out around there. And I'll bring Katey with me to get something out of my locker. And I'll say, oh, hi, Charlie. Do you know Katey Langston? Thank you. That would be great. I'd really appreciate it. I was thinking about asking her to go out on an early morning sail, just around Brighton, so she could see it from the water. And then maybe have breakfast. Nothing fancy. Nobody ever asked Cynthia to do something like that. It sounded nice. She had never bonded with any of the sailor kids, though, because they tended to be a tight-knit group. They spent a lot of time around each other, competing and traveling to regattas around New England, and at school they always seemed to head for each other. And she also never knew what they were talking about. It seemed remarkable Charlie wanted to invite Katey into their special world, but then why not? She did live right there at the yacht club. Phone rang almost the second she hung up with Charlie. "Hello? You've been on the phone," Katey said. "Yes. So do you hate me?" "No. In fact, I just promised to introduce you to someone." "Who?" "His name's Charlie Hennessy. He's a junior. Really nice guy. Good family. He's tall, and I think he has his driver's license. And he's ranked in New England as a sailor. You might like him. He wants to take you for a morning sail around Brighton." Silence. "You think I'm really screwed up, don't you?" Katey said. "No," Cynthia said, thinking, well, yes, maybe a little. "You don't? You do scare me a little sometimes," she said honestly. "I scare you? How? Why?" "Because sometimes I don't know where you're coming from, Katey. You say something weird out of the blue, and sometimes you look at me in a way that feels weird." "The way I look at you?" "Yeah, like I'm disappointing you, that I'm not saying or doing what you want me to say or do, and I have no idea what you're thinking or what's going on." "Yeah," she sighed. "I can be like that sometimes. I have a friend in San Marino I'm really, really close to, and she always knows what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. So I never really had to say much to her. Maybe I'm trying to make you into Grace, because I miss her so much." "Grace," Cynthia repeated. "That's a very pretty name." "She's very pretty. You'd like her. Everybody does." After a moment, Cynthia asked, "Why did you disappear like that last night? That scared me. You said you were going to the ladies' room and you never came back. I was worried, and Clay and I went to look for you. And then Gertie Lou escaped and we got all mixed up with that." "I loved that little Gertie Lou," Katey said. "She loved you too. Everybody in the drive-in was chasing her and calling her, but she went straight to you. I didn't want to give her back." "We definitely need to figure out a way to get you a dog, Katey," Cynthia told her. "I can't. I told you my brother's allergic." "He can't be allergic to every kind of dog. Or is he scared of dogs? I once knew a kid who said he was allergic, but he wasn't. He was just scared of dogs because he got bit on the cheek when he was little. My brother's not scared of dogs. He loves animals, but he gets all blotchy and itchy, and once his throat started closing up, which was really scary. Scotty's allergic to dogs, cats, even gerbils." "Scotty? His name's Scotty? Maybe that's a sign. Maybe that's the kind of dog he's not allergic to. A Scotty. The librarian at school will help us look it up. Katey, we're going to find a dog your brother's not allergic to. You must have a dog. I've always wanted one. And until we find one, you can hang out with Eshet if you want. She likes you." "You mean I'm invited back to your house?" "Yes. My parents like you." "Even with the bracelet?" Cynthia sighed. "I still don't understand what that was all about. And it did scare me a little." "I gave it back to you." "Yes, and I didn't even know it was gone, which is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I never know what's going on." "You and the Holocaust was no picnic last night, thank you very much," Katey said. "Is that why you left? Because I was talking about that?" "No. I left because I was sick of you and Mr. Goody Two-Shoes hanging all over each other." Cynthia's mouth parted. "We weren't hanging all over each other. And we were on a date, you know." "Trust me, I know," Katey said. "And I wanted Evan to be my date. But Evan couldn't go." Yeah, so you stuck me with Mimi and ignored me the whole night. Had she? Cynthia didn't think so. We had fun together when we were hanging out with Dee Dee, didn't we? When we were drinking that stuff? Like for 5 minutes. Then you started ignoring me again. Well, I'm sorry, Cynthia said, starting to get a little annoyed. I didn't realize I was expected to entertain you every second of the night. I don't know why I ever wanted to be friends with you in the first place, Katey said, raising her voice. You're so full of yourself, Cynthia. You always have to be the center of attention. I have so many friends, I can't count them. Hee 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 hee. I've never said anything like that, and I don't laugh like that. You wear it like a banner across your chest. Look at me. I'm the most popular girl in the whole wide world. And then Katey burst into tears. Golly, Cynthia thought, listening to her sob. This girl is nuts. Someone picked up the phone downstairs and started dialing. It had to be her father because he never checked to see if anyone was on the phone. Dad, she shouted. Dad, I'm on the phone. He kept dialing, of course. Dad, I'm on the phone, she said again when he finished. You're always on the phone, he said. I've got to make a reservation at Connecticut Limo because your mother doesn't have time to drop me at LaGuardia. And you're tying up the phone. Her mother said something Cynthia couldn't hear. Don't be defensive, her father said to her. It wasn't a criticism. I know you don't have time. Her mother said something else. Tell me when you're off the phone. Click. Sorry about that. Katey was sniffing, and then she blew her nose. Sorry about what I said. You're not really like that, Cynthia. It's just how it feels to me sometimes. You have a million friends, and you want to talk to everybody, but it feels like you don't want to talk to me. Not seriously. I don't like it when you just chit-chat with me like you do everybody else. Right, Cynthia said, chit-chat about the Holocaust. Look, Katey, she said, after they both laughed a little, I can't imagine being in your shoes over the past week. Suddenly being told you're moving across the country, that you have to leave all your friends. I can't imagine it because I've never had to move. I've always been right here in the same town, same house, same road, same friends. And if my parents told me we had to move to California the next day, I don't know what I would do. My heart would be broken. I know that much. I'd sob my eyes out. I mean, I do understand enough about why you're feeling all over the place. I'm so lonely I could die, she said. Well, you've got me, Cynthia told her. That's a done deal, okay? Okay, she said quietly. Thank you. But I'm not taking you with me on a date again, Cynthia cried. I'll tell you that much. Katey laughed. Don't worry, because I won't be asking to go. Okay, that was better. Cynthia felt better. How could you still be on the phone? Her father shouted. Click. I really do have to get off. One last thing, Katey said. Teddy didn't lay a finger on me last night. I want you to know that. Cynthia blinked. If you say so, Katey, I believe you. I know you don't like him, Katey said, but I do. Not as a boyfriend, but he's been good to me. And my parents like him. And he's bringing me to school tomorrow. I thought you should know. Okay, thanks for the heads up. But I hate that girl, she said in a way that gave Cynthia gooseflesh. She's a liar and a manipulator, and I don't want to talk about it. Cynthia, her father shouted, get off the phone. Gotta go, Cynthia said, hanging up. She went into the hall to shout that she was off. Oh, Cynthia, Mimi said when she went back into her room, we have big trouble. Your mother's baking war food again. If this was going to be the worst trouble she could get into tonight, she welcomed it. She was wiped out. That Katey was something else. What's she making? Sausages in that skillet thing, which is fine. And then those potatoes out of a box. But then she opened this big can of tomatoes that look absolutely disgusting. Stewed tomatoes, Cynthia said. That's one of my mother's favorite meals. Sausages and stewed tomatoes over mashed potatoes. And you're right, it is war food. Oh, yuck, Mimi said. Turned out okay, because Mimi just took the Jones sausages and mashed potatoes and took 2 sticks of celery for vegetable. Cynthia set up TV trays in the den. Her father poured himself and her mother a glass of red wine and filled shot glasses for Cynthia and Mimi. They sat down for dinner at 7 o'clock sharp, but instead of watching Wild Kingdom like they usually did on Sundays, Mrs. Schuyler made them watch a special on ABC. And while Cynthia thought Mrs. Nixon seemed like a very nice lady, she was bored out of her mind while she talked about her husband and her daughters, what she did all day, how she decorated which rooms of the White House, and on and on. Mimi, on the other hand, loved the show and chatted with Mrs. Schuyler all the way through it. Meanwhile, Cynthia was excused to clear the tables, put the dishes in the dishwasher, wash the skillet and pots, turn on the kettle for instant coffee, and wipe down all the counters. Then she went upstairs to do homework. When by 9, Clay still hadn't called, she wasn't worried exactly, but she did wonder what had happened, because he did say he'd call. It was after 9 now, so she couldn't even call him. House rules. She finished her homework, changed into her pajamas, brushed her teeth, and climbed into bed and started reading an old Alfred Hitchcock Presents The 3 Investigators for old time's sake. She always found it comforting. She was about to turn off the light when Mimi came in, wearing one of her Lance nightgowns, and sat down on the edge of the bed. "Cynthia," she said, "am I ever going to have a boyfriend? I mean, a real one." A couple of years ago, Mimi had made a boyfriend up, Stu, whom she talked endlessly about at school. But she didn't keep track of the salient details. So she told one girl he was from Rhode Island, and another he was from Boston, and then he was from Nantucket, and his age kept changing. He was in 9th grade, 10th. He was a senior, and Annabelle and all the girls thought it was the funniest thing since I Love Lucy when they could get Mimi to talk about him. At first, Cynthia thought it was funny, too. Stew? Like the food? Short for Stewart, which also happened to be his last name? Stu Stewart, who drove a Stingray and a Jaguar and a Mustang? But Cynthia had known Mimi too long not to have her heart ache when she saw the girls laughing at Mimi behind her back. So Cynthia told Mimi about it. She told Mimi everybody knew there was no Stu. That was the bad part. Watching Mimi cry, she felt so humiliated. But then the fun part happened when, at the next slumber party, Mimi told a long, drawn-out story about how Stu had been run over by a garbage truck at Woodstock and had been buried at sea, which absolutely stupefied the girls. And then Mimi burst out laughing and said she was kidding. They were all so gullible. She had made up the whole thing. "Stu Stewart, you've got to be kidding," she said. So she got away with it, and Cynthia was glad. "I think you'll have a boyfriend very soon. But your mother says I've got to go to school Wednesday. With my face looking like this, I look horrible. But that's the key part of the plan," Cynthia told her. "If you play it right, Memes, you could end up with a couple of boyfriends. You're going to go back to school, and everybody's going to stare at you because you're all black and blue. The thing is, you're going to get better looking every day. Better and better looking. And guys who might not have noticed you before now will never forget you. and you'll look great because you'll have your wardrobe all planned out, your face will be all healed, and you might even start wearing a little makeup. I think there's going to be a boyfriend out there watching you get better. I truly do. It could work, Mimi said softly. I'll be the ugly duckling who turns into a swan. Cynthia nodded. It's a role Barbra Streisand would love to play, don't you think? Mimi laughed, delighted, and stood up. I'm going to do it like Barbara, she said, swaying and humming her way toward the guest room. When Cynthia left for school in the morning, her mother had not yet returned from dropping her father off at Howard Johnson's to catch the airport limo. There was, however, a bookmark she found on the floor of the kitchen, which could explain where she was. Oil, steer, brake, flu, tire, end plate, check gasket. Cynthia looked outside and saw the station wagon was still in the garage, which meant her mother had been tasked with bringing the station car into Esso for service, and the owners, Dan and Reeve, hadn't had time yet to bring her home. It was good that Mom was twiddling her thumbs waiting downtown because it would make her all the more eager for Cynthia to get her license. And the more fed up she got with the station car, the more likely it was she would help Cynthia convince Father to get rid of the 1958 English Austin. No, it was not an Austin Healey. That would be cool. This was a big old 4-door, 2-tone, brown and beige, English Austin sedan with a stick shift on the steering wheel and 2 mechanical orange arrow things that flipped out from between the doors to act as turning signals. How many times had you watched your parents crank down the window and stick their arm out because the arrow wouldn't come out? And how many times did she have to crank down the window and put her arm out because they needed to make a right-hand turn? Nothing worked in that car. The clutch was all jerky. The radio was complete static. The seats were leather, but old as Jerusalem, her mother would say, and made everybody sneeze. Someday this car's going to be worth a fortune, her father would say, gesturing proudly at all the instruments that didn't work. They never knew how much gas they had, or if the engine was hot or cold, and when anyone's foot slipped off the clutch, the car would jerk forward and the engine would stall and not start again, and everybody would start honking at them. But they couldn't honk back because the horn had been disconnected because it wouldn't turn off. Unless this happened on a hill and her father was driving, they'd be stuck for hours. But if they were on a hill, facing in the right direction, they could push the car and get it rolling, and then her father could jump in and pop the clutch to start the engine that way. Weirdly, the car only stopped running on the way home from somewhere, never on the way to somewhere like the station, which made it all the more difficult to talk her father into getting rid of it. There was no way Cynthia was going to drive that jalopy. Clarke waved and unbuttoned his collar while waiting for her to reach him. Thanks again for Friday night, she said after they fell in step to school. My mom's prepared to buy you a new pair of slippers. I need them, he said, sounding tired. But if you can wear a man's size 9, we have a pair of leather slippers that are practically new. He looked at her. Used slippers? My mother grew up in the Depression, Clarke. She's never going to buy anything new if there's a good alternative. Some people would call that cheap, he said. Mom's not cheap, Clarke. It's just practical and has excellent taste. These slippers were a gift to my brother, and he outgrew them. They're gorgeous and barely worn, but they're guy slippers. Otherwise, I'd wear them. I don't know, he said. Here's your choice, Clarke. You can have a pair of very expensive, very smart, real leather slippers, or you can get a new pair of cheapo slippers from Bradley's that'll fall apart in no time. What size do you wear anyway? 8.5. She raised a hand to form a megaphone around her mouth. "Take the deal, Clarke, take the deal." When they turned onto Brown Avenue, a depressingly familiar green Impala pulled over. "Hey, Clarke," Jocko Trapazano called. "You want a ride?" Clarke looked at him. This invitation was wholly unexpected. "I'll let Cynthia ride with us, too, but only if you want her to." Clarke looked at Cynthia. "This feels like a trap, like he wants to beat me up or something." Cynthia smiled a little and stepped up to the window. "Clarke wants to know if this is a trap." "It's me trying to be nice to you, Clarke," Rocco snarled. "Oh, screw it," he said, hitting the steering wheel and peeling out. Cynthia lit a parliament she had pinched from her mother, exhaling while they watched the car go up the road. "He might really want to be allies, Clarke, for all of us to be on the same team." "What team?" Clarke asked. "You, me, and Mimi, when she comes back, which could be Wednesday, by the way. I hope she's going to wear more sensible shoes." "Maybe I'll give her the leather slippers," Cynthia said, earning a frown from Clarke. "What is wrong with you this morning, Clarke?" "I have a lot on my mind," he said gravely. "Me too," Cynthia sighed. He looked over. "What's wrong with you?" "Oh, I went out on a date Saturday night." "With Evan Whitaker," he sighed, sounding bored already. "No, not with Evan. With Clay Seton." "Who's he?" Clarke said impatiently. "Clarke, he's a star athlete. He pitched in the Babe Ruth playoffs this summer." "The guy who blew it?" He looked at her. "Why would you go out with a loser?" Now Cynthia stopped walking. "How dare you?" "What? He lost. He's a loser." "Oh, brother," Cynthia said, walking ahead. "Why did she even bother?" Wait, don't be upset." He ran to catch up to her. "If you think you've got problems, Mr. Wolfgang Zollner wants me to play Miss Marple." Cynthia bent over. It made her laugh so hard. Miss Marple was Agatha Christie's little old lady detective. "That's how the group reacted," Clarke said, watching her. She straightened up. "Clarke, that would be hysterical. You'll be a star." Clarke was shaking his head, bringing a hand up over his eyes. "Is that Jocko coming back?" Cynthia looked, wiping a tear from her eye. "Looks like it." It was Jocko. He drove the Impala past them, stopped, and backed up off the road into the bushes to turn around. Then he pulled up beside them, put the car into park, got out, and marched around the car to open the passenger door. He gestured to Clarke. "Get in. Please. I said I'd give you a ride, and I'm going to." "You're not beating me up?" Clarke asked, making sure. "No." Clarke got in, and Jocko shut the door. Then he opened the rear door. "Please," he said to Cynthia. She noticed he had not greased his hair this morning. In fact, it was clean and evenly trimmed. He still had a mustache, but the scraggly beard was gone. She wondered nervously if he had not gotten the message that she only wanted to be friends. "Thanks," she said, climbing in. Immediately she saw that he had cleaned out the car. It was very clean. Good for him, she thought, as long as he left her out of it. They drove to school in silence. As they approached the student lot outside C Wing, Teddy's red Mustang flew past them and up the access road, heading for the front of the school. The top was down and Cynthia saw Katey's hair whipping in the wind. She remembered the dress she had promised to wash for her. When and how would she do that? She wondered if she stuck it in the hamper tonight, Ragnar Gooseygander would wash it tomorrow, thinking it was hers. She wouldn't wreck it. Jocko made a wide arc to turn into a parking spot. Cynthia felt like she was in the Whitakers' boat. "Thanks," Clarke said, quickly getting out. Cynthia guessed he might still think it was a trap. Cynthia climbed out and then ducked her head back into the car where Jocko was still sitting, drumming his fingers on the roof. "Aren't you coming?" "Not yet," he said. "Okay, well, thanks. Thanks for coming back to get us and being nice to Clarke." She shut the door and heard a voice say sarcastically, "Nice car, Cynthia. Is it new?" Ryann, again. It was right on the top of Cynthia's tongue to say, "No, Ryann, it's not new, but it's thinner than you are." But she didn't. Periodically, the memory of the scold's bridle she had seen in England when she was 10 would curb her tongue. It was an iron contraption they used to put over women's heads to punish them for saying wicked things. "You'd look great in a scold's bridle," she called after Ryann. "You could probably get it color coordinated if you wanted." "What?" Ryann sneered over her shoulder. "What are you talking about?" Cynthia leaned forward slightly. "Scold. SCOLDS. Bridle. BRIDLE. Look it up." "You're weird," Ryann told her, walking away. Mr. Bojanski was sitting at his desk when she arrived at homeroom. When he spotted her, he motioned for her to come up. "What happened to you on Friday?" "I didn't feel well, Mr. Bojanski, and I had to go home." "I'm sorry to hear that. Are you feeling better?" His tone of voice gave her hope he might not have reported her absence. "Yes, thank you. I had to report your absence," he told her. She nodded. What happened now, she wondered. How did it work in high school? Would she be summoned to the office? There must be lots of students who skipped classes Friday. Surely they all couldn't be summoned to the office. And how did they know who didn't have an excuse? Did they cross-check attendance against attendance from homeroom? She'd heard the computer had screwed up a lot of stuff last week. Maybe her absence could be a computer error. Yes, that sounded like it could be a good one. "I brought this in for you," Mr. Bojanski said, handing her the issue of Time magazine Charlie had told her about. They do a good job of explaining and summarizing what prompted the president to issue the price controls and what he hopes they'll accomplish. "Wow," she said, "thanks." They got Newsweek at home. Wondered if it had said anything about price controls. She only looked at it when she wanted to make a collage. "I need it back," Mr. Bojanski told her. "In fact, I'd prefer it not leave the classroom. There's another copy in the library if you want to spend more time with it." "Okay, thanks." Spend time with it? What did that mean? "I was thinking this may be the subject for you to write your term paper on." Term paper? What term paper? Had he handed out syllabus? She couldn't remember. Man, she needed to get organized. "Thanks a lot, Mr. Bojanski. I'll make sure to return it to you at the end of class, right?" "Yes." A lot of kids were scooting in the door now, but Clay still hadn't appeared. Betsey Satterfield did, though. She walked in looking like a model, wearing a blue and pink jumper, gold studs in her ears, mascara and pink lipstick. Her hair was tied back with a piece of pink yarn. She walked straight up to Cynthia and whispered near her ear, "I don't care what Katey told you, she's a liar. Don't believe a word she says." Then she walked to her seat, sat down, and began organizing her books while checking her schedule. She never looked at Cynthia again. Clay never showed up. At the end of announcements, he was summoned to the front office, which was totally weird. And then, of course, Cynthia and about 20 other kids were told to report to the front office. And that group included Phil O'Brien and Annabelle Fitzgerald. It was good to have friends. Well, well, well. It would seem we have a bunch of mysteries going on here. Where's Clay? Why didn't he call yesterday? Who's lying, Katey or Betsey? We're going to have to tune in next week and find out more. I had to apologize. Apparently, everybody in Connecticut is taking flying lessons again. Remember, you can always go to wherever you get your podcast and rate this show or leave a comment about it. I always appreciate it. A reminder, we have a private group at Facebook. We'd love to see you there. And it's only private because, people want to share stuff about high school. We don't want everybody in the world seeing it. Like your grandkids or something. They don't want to see that you bought pot out of the trunk of somebody's car. I hope you guys have a fabulous week. And remember, you don't drink and drive anymore. Ever. But we do have fun. So have fun, be well, and know I'm really looking forward to seeing you next week back in Brighton, the class of '74.